Thanksgiving is right around the corner, and I hope that you're planning a celebration with your family. Now, we are having guests for Thanksgiving here at Kowalski Mountain, and one of my favorite breakfast treats to make is pumpkin bread. So come along and let's make it together. Hey friends, it's Barbara Sue at Kowalski Mountain, and welcome back to our channel. Now, welcome to my kitchen here at the homestead, and I'm adjusting, getting used to cooking in this kitchen. While we've been traveling to the homestead for years and I've been cooking in this kitchen, I don't usually film, so it's kind of an adjustment to get used to filming here in the homestead kitchen. Now, earlier this morning, I roasted a pumpkin that we grew right here at Kowalski Mountain. Now, I have a complete video and blog post on how to make pumpkin puree, which you can see here, so be sure to check it out. Now, today's video is part of a collaboration that is hosted by Alicia from Plow and Pantry. Now, every Thursday throughout the month of November, we're doing a hashtag of Thanksgiving Thursdays, and everyone that's a part of the collaboration is posting their videos on Thursday. So be sure to check out the hashtag Thanksgiving Thursdays to see all the videos. Now, I will put links to all the girls' channels down in the description box, so be sure to check it out. I have a little confession for you. This is called pumpkin bread, but it tastes like cake. And I'm actually going to put frosting on it. So you can serve this for breakfast without frosting, or you can put some cream cheese frosting on it and serve it anytime, breakfast or not. Now, I'm going to be making my pumpkin bread with fresh ground flour, and I'm going to do a combination of soft white wheat berries and also spelt. And this is the first time that I'm using spelt in any of my recipes. When I did my last order from Bread Becker Co-op, I only ordered a small bucket because I wanted to make sure that I like it. Now, spelt is an ancient grain, and I'm excited to try it in the pumpkin bars. Now, I'm going to mix my grains half and half, so let's go ahead and get this flour ground. Now, I have a Nutri-Mill Harvest grain mill, and this is a stone mill, which I absolutely love. Now, I do have an affiliate link down in the description box, and if you use my code KMBakers20, you can get an extra $20 off. So let's go ahead and get this ground up. Now, I want my flour to be extra fine, so I've tightened this down as tightly as I can. Whenever you use a stone grain mill, you want to turn it on first so that the wheat berries don't get jammed up inside. Now that the flour is ground, we're going to go ahead and get our pumpkin bread mixed up. Now, today I'm going to be using my Bosch Universal Plus mixer, and throughout the month of November there are awesome sales, so be sure to check out my affiliate link below and use my code KMBakers20 for several of the different products online. Now, today I'm going to be using the cake paddles, and I can tell the cake paddles because they have a double whip on them. And this is just my preferred paddle for this project. Now, these just slip right in. And the first thing we're going to add is the fresh pumpkin. Now, if you have never used fresh pumpkin before, it is worth the effort. It's super easy. You only have to bake it, and it is definitely worth the time. Now, this pumpkin has been cooked and cooled, and I'm just going to scrape it out, and I am going to measure it up. Now most recipes call for a can of pumpkin. When you do the fresh baked pumpkin, you usually substitute 2 cups. Now today I'm using a sugar pumpkin, and I use a sugar pumpkin because they're sweeter and they're better for baking. Now it looks like it's going to be the whole pumpkin, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in. Now you'll notice that there's some brown parts right here. That's when the sugar caramelizes. There's nothing wrong with it. It's going to mix up into the bread and you won't even notice it. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn this on and kind of crush that up a little bit. Oops. Plug it in first. Now the complete recipe for the pumpkin bread is going to be in the Kowalski Mountain Subscribers Library. Now I'm going to put the sign up down below, so be sure to sign up so that you can download that instantly and you can make this recipe for Thanksgiving. So first up is eggs. And sugar. Now I prefer a 1-bowl method of baking and cooking always. The less dishes I need to do, the better. So I'm going to go ahead and add all of my seasonings. I've got some cloves, cinnamon, baking powder, baking soda, and ginger. And you can see why this is so flavorful. We're going to stir this up a little bit. We're going to add the oil. And the salt. And now we're going to add the flour. Now when making this with fresh ground flour, I will probably add a little bit more than the recipe calls for. But mostly I'm just going to watch the texture to see how it goes. Now the recipe in the subscribers library is designed for all-purpose flour. Now one of my most favorite features of the Bosch mixer is the cover, because that's going to contain all the flour when I stir this up. Now just looking at that, I can tell I want it to be a little bit thicker. So I'm going to add a little bit more flour. Now, since I am baking with fresh ground flour, I'm going to add an additional step here. I'm going to allow this batter to autolyse. And what that means is it just means to give it time. It's going to allow the moisture in this batter to be absorbed by the fresh ground flour. I just feel like it's a worthwhile step when working with fresh ground flour to allow that process to take place. When you're working with fresh ground flour, you're working with the entire wheat berry. And it just allows that process to go a little bit smoother. Now you can let this go as long as you want to. I did already add my eggs, so I'm only going to do about 30 minutes to allow this to set, and then we're going to come back and bake it. Alright, now the batter is ready, so we're going to go ahead and dish up our muffins. And you can make this in a loaf pan, or in a cake pan, or you can make it as muffins. Now, if you've watched any of my previous videos, you know that Philip and I are empty nesters, and so I like to make a lot of these types of treats in these mini loaves. It's just a better use of my baking. We don't need an entire loaf of this pumpkin bread, and we won't eat it. So I make it in these mini loaf pans, and I freeze the extras, and then I can pull them out whenever we want it. And a lot less is wasted that way. Now I've already got my oven preheating, and these are going to cook for about 30 minutes, and I'll check their doneness with a toothpick, or I will probably be using my instant read thermometer just to make sure they're done inside. So into the oven they go. Alright, let's check these muffins and see if they're done. Perfect. This needs a little bit more time. Now once these are cool, we're going to make some cream cheese frosting, and we'll frost them up. Alright, now it's the next day and my pumpkin muffins are completely cool. Now you can serve this as a muffin without frosting, or you can serve it with the frosting, which both is delicious, but I am going to show you how I make my frosting. Now this is a simple cream cheese frosting. Since I don't need very much, I'm going to make half a batch. Now in my Bosch mixer, I am going to be using the metal whips, and I'm also going to be using the bowl scraper feature, and this is going to keep all of that frosting right at the bottom so that it mixes thoroughly. And I was just going to say that goes on a little tricky, and it popped right on, so it's on there. Alright, so we're just going to do half a batch. Now for half a batch, I just need 8 ounces of powdered sugar. And I realized I have 3 open packages of powdered sugar. Now I like to weigh my powdered sugar. I find it's a little bit more accurate than measuring it by the cup. So 1 package eliminated. And this one I'll combine into the other one. Sifting your powdered sugar is technically, it's not a required step. But if you want a nice, smooth frosting without clumps, it's worth the extra effort. Now there's all kinds of sifters on the market. This just happens to be the one I have. Not too hard in the beginning, but your arm really does get tired. All right, now we're going to go ahead and add this to the mixer. We definitely want to use the cover today because making frosting is messy. Now let's get the vanilla. Now this is my own homemade vanilla. And of course I have a video all about that. You can check it out here. And I'll be honest, I don't really measure vanilla. I just dump it in. Now this, you can see the color of the vanilla. My vanilla is a year old now. And here we go. Now this is a really small batch of vanilla for my mixer. And vanilla, you really mix it up to your tastes. If you want it to be a little thicker, you can add a little bit more powdered sugar. If you want it to be a little bit thinner, you can add some liquid and make it thinner. It's really up to you. Now, since I don't have any children at home, I get to lick the baters myself. Now, when it comes to frosting the cupcakes, you can buy pastry bags. You can buy disposable pastry bags. I just always use a Ziploc. You just want to cut the corner just a little bit, and you want to be careful not to cut it too large. That's usually my biggest mistake. And now I'm just going to slip my tip right through the corner. And that way I can just toss this when it's done. I always have Ziplocs on hand. It's never an extra expense to do it this way. Alright, let's go ahead and get set up, and we're going to frost these cupcakes. Now, frosting cupcakes is really not that hard. It really just takes a little bit of practice, and you can actually do that like on a practice board. If you want to kind of just use a plate and just do a few practice rounds right on a plate, when you're done, you just scoop the frosting up and you put it back into your pastry bag. But that way you can kind of work out your technique before you do it on the cupcake. And using a different tip is going to give you a different design. Now, I just do these super simple. I just go right in a circle. And there you go. That is it. And that is it. Now you can use these as a cupcake, or remember, without the frosting, you can use them for breakfast. And you know what? It's Thanksgiving. If you want to have frosting for breakfast, have frosting for breakfast. Well, friends, as always, I really appreciate you watching. I do hope you'll try these pumpkin muffins or cupcakes for Thanksgiving. I want to thank Alicia from Plow and Pantry for putting together this collaboration. Be sure to watch the entire month of November looking for the hashtag Thanksgiving Thursdays to see all the videos that are a part of this collaboration. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, hit that button. We'd love you to be a part of the Kowalski Mountain family. We want to wish you and yours a very happy Thanksgiving. See you later.